Hi, my name is Genesis Abrego, and this is my explainer video for evaluation number 2. Evaluation number 2 is based on the assignment of Via Arte. Via Arte is a 7x7 portrait that students are putting together. They're coloring, they're drawing it all together as a group. Each group has about 4 students in it, and so the concept of this project is that they are supposed to create a composition that is inspired by Italian Renaissance time period, along with the chiaroscuro drawing style as well. Now, chiaroscuro is a drawing style that is based on that contrast between light and dark. And so it's really emphasizing how the dark backgrounds shape that light form to make the forms of either shapes or drawings or certain objects within the composition by emphasizing that dark, which is then kind of bringing forth that light. Now, they are supposed to create a composition that, again, is inspired by the Italian Renaissance. Italian Renaissance is a time period in which the artists were very much influenced by either events that were happening, very much influenced by religious beliefs, and this influenced as well by their beliefs of either mythology, the gods, Jesus, and so forth. So either mythology or religion is kind of where they were at, or you also had those like still lifes and self-portraits of either individuals that were important at the time or individuals that made an impact on the artist. So at this point, students are trying to wrap up and finish up the coloring of their composition. So they've already gone through the steps of creating a portrait that fits the styles of every individual artist within that group. And so now that they finished drawing that composition, and now they have to go ahead and start the coloring process. They're coloring with oil pastels, which is not an easy material to work with, but it's definitely a doable material. Oil pastels are hard in the sense that they are just hard to blend sometimes. And so getting that consistency, really knowing your fundamentals of art is what's going to help you in being able to use the oil pastels. Just as in terms of the prerequisites of this evaluation, some of the things that we looked for and we worked on in order to pre-assess students to get them prepared for the Via Arte portraits are the still life was the first assignment here. This is an example of a student's still life. Now this still life, students are able to go ahead and color with just drawing. So they're able to do this portrait by drawing with a pencil, but they're very much emphasizing on those white spaces and those dark spaces and being able to make those forms without having to use line, without having to emphasize on line. They're creating art forms by really practicing and being able to identify the light spaces, the gray spaces, and the really dark spaces. The second project that they had to do right before Via Arte started is the scratch board. Now, in order to do the images on a scratch board, they had to use an X-Acto knife, and they had to, again, being able to emphasize on their inspired picture, being able to see where those light spaces are, where the dark spaces are, and where those gray spaces are as well. And being able to incorporate them into their drawing, whether it's with pencil or X-Acto knife, right? Those were 2 different approaches, but they were able to still, with that practice, identify the dark and the light. Now we're in this section of Via Arte. They are huge compositions. I can't actually show them to you. They're very big. They're a 7x7 inch scale portrait for each group, and each class, periods 1 and 2, are doing the same project. Each class has about 4 different groups going on, so 4 different compositions, a total of 8 compositions of 7x7 inches in length. like I said, they are already done with their drawing portions. They're trying to push through to try to get all their coloring done with oil pastels at this point. This is also an inspired assignment because Via Arte is actually, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but it's actually an event that happens here in Bakersfield, California. And so what happens is that artists, professional artists and high school artists are invited to go ahead and do their composition on the floor with chalk. And so students now are trying to finish their composition because there's an actual deadline for this event, which is happening on Saturday. Students are now trying to finish up their coloring, and what happens next is that me and my co-teacher, we're gonna go ahead and take these students to the event on Saturday. And we've handpicked students based on their skill level and based on their commitment as well to the art form, right? Who's doing very well with oil pastels, who's doing well with blending those colors, forming those colors without having to mess up their drawing, who does very well with sketching that large scale portrait. And so again, we handpicked a few students. I believe we picked about 6 students for each class, so about a total of 12 students are going to go, roughly, if they're able to make it. They're going to come with us to this event, and they're going to go ahead and pick one of the compositions either they made or their classmates made that me and Mr. Weary have chosen to do. We're going to go ahead and draw out that composition, and they're going to take pretty much a solid about 8 hours to be able to complete that composition by either like sketching it out on a black floor with chalk and coloring the whole composition to completion within those 8 hours on Saturday. This is the first time they're going to have that real life experience as into what it takes to meet deadlines and to be able to complete a large composition at an event, and to really see people are going to start walking through. This is going to take place at this place we call the marketplace, and it's really just an area where people go to either see art, they go to the theater, they go to eat and stuff like that. So really they're going to have the experience to be able to work on this art form and being able to see just fresh people that they've never met comment on their artwork and really be inspired by these students. There's also going to be a section where professional artists are going to do their own composition, so they're going to be able to also see, wow, this is what a professional artist does. This is how a professional artist works on their composition, and this is what it takes for them to get to a completed portrait. It takes time, but it also takes time management, because yes, if you are contracted to make a art piece this big and this is your time frame, you have 8 hours to complete it, it's going to give them that practice of being able to make those deadlines and being able to work together as a group on a large scale project as well. Just to end it also is just letting you know that the way we're grading this assignment is by 2 grades. Students are graded by their completion of their overall project as a group. How did they work together? Did they complete the project? Those are the grades that are going in there. Did they end up being able to, am I able to see those values? Am I able to see the dark and the light? Am I able to see the blending of the colors of the composition itself? And then how they work together as a group. That's 1 grade, which is an overall grade for their group. The 2nd grade is you're being graded as an individual as well of that group. Were you working? Were you putting in your time? And were you doing your best to work on this project? You know, obviously those students who were standing around and not really participating as much are going to get a lower grade because they didn't put in as much effort as everyone else in the group. And so, yes, you're getting graded on the overall scale of the portrait. You know, let's say the portrait is amazing and it's an A. Yes, you will get a grade of an A because everyone else in your group got an A. However, your individual score might be completely different because maybe you didn't do much in the group. Maybe you didn't participate in the group as well. And so it's really letting them know throughout this throughout this evaluation, just letting them know, giving them that feedback as into how to get all the proportions right on their scale, on their huge scale, right? Getting the proportions right of the people, of their head, of all of these different materials combined into one, getting the proportions right, getting the colors right, being able to work together and communicate with each other to make a perfect portrait. And so those are the two big grades for this. It's just either your group composition, how you guys worked as a group, and how did the portrait come out. 1 grade. Second grade is your individual score, where how you did as an individual for your group and did you do your part. It's also taking in mind that we are letting students self-grade themselves and also grade everyone else in their group as well. And so we're also taking in mind the grading that the other individuals in the group gave that person, and the grading that person gave themselves as well. Most of the time, as Mr. Weary tells me, most of the time, the students are very honest with how much work they put into it and what they think their grade should be as well. Okay, awesome. And I'm gonna go ahead and end this video explainer video here. I am gonna go ahead, Mr. Lin, I'm gonna send you also a picture of some of the portraits and how they're coming along. I'm gonna also send you a video of the actual evaluation as an observation of how I kind of circulate the classroom, how I kind of give them that feedback. If I see something is proportionally wrong, I kind of give them that feedback and just letting them know, hey, we might want to fix this hand. This hand is too small for the size of the person, or, you know, whether it's the head, the hands, the wings might be off. And so just giving them that feedback while they're drawing, while they're coloring as well, is kind of what I do during their class time, is circulating classroom, making sure everyone is also doing their part. If I see someone not working, I let them know, hey, what are you working on? Okay. If they don't know and they don't know what to work on, okay, here's what you can work on depending on your skill set. Can you make clouds? You're not you feel like you're not well at drawing people. Okay, let's make some clouds then. You can make clouds, yes? You can? Okay, well then I teach them by giving them that demo of how to make a basic cloud and be able to work with that oil pastel material. Okay, have a good one.